Hi, everybody. It's Jenny here coming to you with another update. Okay, so I didn't see you yesterday, and it was just a very busy day. I will say that the weekend wasn't great. Today's a Monday right now. And as I told you, I was going out to dinner with my daughter when I was going to be down at the NFL draft. And we did find an amazing restaurant with huge portions and delicious food loaded with carbs um, and amazing desserts. We dined like queens. But, I mean, it was kind of a pub and grill. So, of course, everything was like hamburgers and all that kind of stuff. It was a beer, kind of like a beer garden kind of place. I can't remember the name of it, but it sure was amazing. If anyone's ever downtown in the Flats, which is an area on the waterfront where there's lots of bars and restaurants, um, Draft House, I think was the name of it. So good. Um, so on Saturday, the appetizer we had was like a caprese salad with avocado. So, I mean, the cheese was good and the tomato was good and the avocado was good. The bread that it was on, not so good. So, started off with a little bit of a fail there, but compared to all the other appetizers, which everything was deep fried, or they had a soft pretzel with three dipping sauces, bigger than my head, and like this thick around, too. I mean, not only because sometimes you see big ones, but they're like really thin. It was amazing. Didn't get it. Didn't get it. We had the caprese salads. We each had two pieces because it came with four. And then we actually both ordered the same um, lunch item, which was called a Midwest BLT wrap. So it was bacon, lettuce, and tomato. And I swear it had chicken in it too. So maybe that was like the Midwest part where they added chicken in it. It didn't have a really heavy sauce with it. It had a lot of lettuce in it, but it really had a significant amount of meat as well. It was hearty and big, and I ended up taking home. I only ate I ate three quarters of it because I started on the second one, just thinking we were going to sit around and eat. But my daughter's like, I'm going to save my second one for tomorrow because this is so good. And I wanted to try it. We saw a dessert that looked amazing. And she's like, I want to make sure I have room for the dessert. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't really have to eat anymore either. Okay. So I did have some kettle chips with it, but I brought most of them home. I only had a few pieces of it. Most of them I brought home with the one quarter, so the wrap was cut in half. But it was large, and it was a regular flour tortilla. It wasn't my wheat carb control 70 calorie two carb tortillas. So that wasn't great, but based on everything else that was on the menu, which were pizzas and burgers and deep fried things, I think it was the healthiest option on the menu. And I didn't eat all of it, so I'm proud of that. And then we decided to have dessert, which was called a campfire pizza. It was about this round. We ordered the small and we to share between the two of us. It's only $6. I expected it to be minuscule. Like I'll take one bite, you can finish the rest of it. It was like this big around, and it was a bread, toasted bread kind of base covered in mini marshmallows. Wait, no, 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 no. Bread base with Nutella and then mini marshmallows covering the whole thing, toasted like a s'more, and then drizzled with chocolate sauce, and then a huge hunk of cinnamon sugar ice cream on top. Let me tell you, the combination of these flavors is something that we both agreed would be worth driving all the way down to go to the flats in Cleveland just to have that. And I said, we could come down here like on a day that you just want to throw your diet in all caution to the wind. Come down and get one of those size of your head pretzels and have this dessert and be good, like, and be full. I never have done this before in my life, but I took a few bites. I ate maybe a quarter of it, and then I let my daughter have the rest. And then there were a couple bites that were left, and neither one of us could have it. We were tapped out and full. So that was where the epic fail came in. I had nothing else the rest of the day, and I had nothing else leading up to that. So I was kind of proud of myself with the choice of the appetizer and the choice of the meal, but deciding to go ahead and get that dessert. You know what? I regret nothing. Sometimes in life, you just have to say, this is what I want to do. We were there for probably 2 hours. It was really slow service because the NFL draft. Didn't care. We were visiting. She just flew in that morning. We came home. She changed her clothes, had a small bite to eat because she hadn't eaten because she came in on a red eye for a long time. And then we went down to the draft and we were walking around for like 2 hours at all the events and activities and everything going on down there, which was lovely and amazing and perfect weather. And then we walked down from there to the flat. So we had a lot of walking in. I think, I can't remember how many, but we got our 10,000 steps in just in the time that we were there for sure. She has her little Fitbit that she uses too. So we did get a lot of exercise in and got a lot of fresh air and had a great time and a great visit, and I don't regret it. You know what? The food was amazing and I enjoyed it and it was delicious. Did I pay the price on the scale? I did, of course. It said that I had gained 1.2 pounds. Actually, not that disappointed in that number based on the fact that I had about a quarter of that dessert on top of some of the other carbs, and I know my body's not used to carbs. So then yesterday I was doing really good all day, but my husband made another pan of that amazing, like really thick. They're probably about this big, the size, but then like this thick. These pieces of breaded chicken. It's from Tyson. Now my daughter, who's like a health fiend, looked at the package and it's like, this is really good stuff, Mom. The amount of calories, the amount of protein, the amount of preservatives and the amount of carbs, and she's like, these are really low carb, this is, and like, so I'm like, oh, I feel better about the time that those 2 days that I cheated. So yesterday I had one of those very small, I don't know how many calories, I'll have to look it up, but they're about just this long, those really skinny, they're the size of a Slim Jim. They look like a Slim Jim, but they're only this big. 100% organic, no sugar added beef sticks. So I had one of those, and I really didn't need to eat. This is where I'm upset with myself. I wasn't hungry. Wasn't hungry. But I had a piece of that chicken too. I did. So I'm not so happy about that. I got on the scale today and it said minus zero point 0.5. So that's good. It wasn't like I didn't lose enough the first time and I was going to lose more the second time, plus the chicken added to it, and I lost and I gained even more 2 days in a row. So, but I could have lost more than zero point 0.5. I could have been closer to where I was prior to this weekend. But that's okay. Let's see. Uh, 7. I'm zero point 0.7 away from being where I was. So I'm less than a pound. I'm between, I'm 3/4 of a pound above where I was. And I'm going to start doing well again. So it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes you just have to say, it was worth it, and it was worth it. The chicken really was, it really was very good. The dinner with my daughter was worth it. Even the splurging with the dessert was worth it for me to say, I will do what I need to sacrifice and get back on track. So, okay. The only disappointment is yesterday's chicken eating, but it was good too. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk a little bit about obesity. According to Dr. Simeon's and his protocols, there are 3 basic causes of obesity. One is the inherited factor. One is the diocephalic disorders, which have to do with your, I believe, pituitary gland and hypothalamus, if I recall correctly. And then the third one is exhaustion of the fat bank. Now, I've done videos on these already, but I thought I'd go back to the inherited factor because I think a lot of us fall in that category. There's very few of us who are obese, but everybody who's very thin in the family. Usually for people who struggle with weight, you can look at your parents and your grandparents and see obesity as well. And this one's very short, so here we go. We're going to read about the inherited factor. Assuming that there is a limit to the diacephalin's fat bank capacity, it follows that there are three basic ways in which obesity can be manifest. The first is that fat banking capacity is abnormally low from birth. Such a congenitally low diacephalic capacity would then represent the inherited factor in obesity. When this abnormal trait is markedly present, obesity will develop at an early age in spite of normal feeding. This could explain why, among brothers and sisters eating the same food at the same table, some become obese and others do not. That's all it says. All right, so how does this apply to me and you? This means if we are the people who didn't struggle with weight our entire lives, then we probably don't have this inherited factor that he's talking about. That being said, let's backtrack to what I said before. Our bodies are genetically inherited through the genes that our parents have and through genes from previous generations. So, one can look at one's family lineage and history and family size and photographs and get a general idea of what your tendency to look like in the future is going to be. Especially because in the past, dieting wasn't as prevalent and part of our society. The thinness started coming like in the 70s, really. Not that people weren't trying to stay on the thin side, but having a little bit of extra weight wasn't considered horrible, and if you had a child, then it was just assumed you were going to be heavier. And now it's assumed that you're going to bounce back and you're going to look like the person on the magazine who's airbrushed, mind you, and look like a size 2 6 weeks after you've given birth. Um, that's not reality at all. And the reality is, actually, every time you give birth, it's tougher to get back to where you were before. And some weight does stay on. But we also have a lot more knowledge and information about dieting and health and fitness. So we can be better. We don't have to say, well, this is what my mother looked like, so this is what I'm going to look like. It is my determination that my body size will never be the size of my grandparents and my mother. I don't want to get to be that same size because I know I'll be comfortable there and then I'll stay there. And it's hard to lose especially if you've stayed at a certain weight for a significant period of time. So if I have to be a serial HCGer, so be it. So be it. I am happier when I'm thinner. I am happier when my clothes fit looser. I am happier when I'm thinner because I have more energy. It's easier. Like I find myself running up and down the stairs as opposed to slowly taking one step at a time and walking up and down them. I found it very interesting. I have a vivid recollection. I should have just chose a different word of when I was a child and I was at a spaghetti dinner at my school and my grandmother was there, my mother was there, and we had to go up the stairs. It was down, the cafeteria was like downstairs, and we had to go up this large flight of stairs to get out. And it was a wide staircase because it was at a school, it was meant for kids to go up and down. So we were going to get ready to go up, and I started running up the stairs, and I remember my mom saying, "Slow down, don't run, walk." And I remember trying to walk and it actually being difficult. And I remember turning and looking at my parents and my grandparents slowly walking up the steps. And I'm like, this is so effortful to force. It was easier because you were small and light, and it was easier to just hop up on your toes up to the top of the steps. When you're thinner and lighter, it's easier to move quicker and faster. It just is. And so you just feel better about yourself. So that's my goal, is to get my body back to the place where I feel like I just want to run up the stairs all the time. So we'll see how close we can get there. I am staying on track. I am back on the plan. I would say that I ate less than 500 calories yesterday. That's the good part about this. That's the good part. And I haven't had a bowel movement since Friday, so that's another good part because I had a significant amount of food on Saturday. So I feel encouraged that I'm going to get this back under control this week, and then we are going to start seeing some numbers go down, and I'm excited to see what it's going to look like by Saturday morning when I take off to drive to my daughter's college. All right, that's all I have for today. Um, we'll see if we get into the diacephalic disorders next time. I don't want to get too heavy in this, so if there's something else you want me to talk about, we can. Um, Maybe I'll talk about compulsive eating. That's a good one. I don't even remember doing a video on that before. There's a whole section I just saw right here on compulsive eating. That's me. So, compulsive eating. Maybe the next time I check in, which will hopefully be tomorrow. You take care. Have a wonderful day. Happy dieting. And let me know about your successes and failures too. We're on this journey together. You may take a step back every now and then. That's okay. Don't give up. Back on the bandwagon. That's what we're doing, getting back on the bandwagon. We're going to lose that weight we gained, and we're going to keep on going and keep on losing. See you tomorrow. Hopefully. Bye.